What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. I've got a relatively simple question with maybe a not so simple answer attached to it today. And that is, do the Seahawks have the best rushing attack in the NFL? Simple question, I know. And you would think it has a pretty simple answer, right? Like, you examine the data, you examine the numbers, and the answer seems to be pretty clearly no, right? You ask the question, do the Seahawks have the best rushing attack in the NFL? You look at yards per game. How many yards are the Seahawks getting on the ground per game? Barely over 100, 104.3. 16th in the NFL. There are 15 teams who are running the ball for more yards per game than the Seahawks, so they are right smack dab in the middle of the league in that area. And if you want to go by yards per carry average, if you want to sort by that, you can go over here and see the Seahawks are actually 17th. Well, tied for Dallas for 16th, but effectively 17th. So again, right in the middle. Right in the middle of the league. So the initial conclusion by looking at this data would be the Seahawks have the most average rushing attack in the NFL through 3 games. And that makes sense when you think about it, right? Like, the rushing attack was fine against the Rams. It was adequate against the Rams. It really didn't do that much against the Lions, it felt like. And then it was really good against the Panthers. So it's like, okay, you've had one good game, one okay game, one bad game. So you're right in the middle, right? Everything's adding up in our heads. Everything makes sense. So the Seahawks have an average rushing attack. Well, there is one stat that strongly disagrees, and I want to take a look at that today because this is actually very interesting, and I'm guessing this does not happen very often, where the box score stats disagree so strongly with the advanced metrics. So what we have here is a chart depicting EPA, or estimated points added per play, for each team when they run the ball and when they drop back to pass. So this axis right here, the up and down, the vertical, is rush estimated points added per play. So basically, what EPA is trying to do, to briefly run it down, I'm going to give a very brief rundown of what EPA is. Essentially, it's trying to determine how much is each play you're running doing to affect your team's chances of scoring points positively or negatively. So it's trying to drill past the nonsense, the meaningless, the noise, and get to the meaningful signal. So for instance, if it's 3rd and 30, and your team runs the ball because they're giving up, and they get 15 yards. Okay, 15 yards, that's going to help your numbers, that's going to help your averages. But did you really affect your team's odds of scoring points? Not really. Maybe a very, very tiny amount. But there's a huge difference between having the ball at your own 5-yard line, it's 3rd and 30, you run the ball for 15 yards, versus it's 1st and 10 from the 15, the opposing team's 15, and then you run the ball for 15 yards. There's a world of difference. But yards and yards per carry do not understand that. They ignore that. They just take the raw yards and the raw yards per carry. This is actually trying to say, okay, well, what does that actually mean? What does this 15-yard run mean versus another 15-yard run? And if you look at the vertical data set here, the Seahawks are number 1 in rush EPA per play, and it's not that close. The Seahawks are the only team above 0.1. And you've got the Eagles and Dolphins a good deal below that. They're close to like 0.006 maybe. We're almost double that. And then the Bills are the only other team, and the Bills and the Ravens are the only other teams above 0.0. Everybody else is actually in the negatives. You can see that the point of, like, the median point, the average point is about at negative 0.1. So the Seahawks are, according to estimated points added per play, the best, most effective, most efficient running team in the league. So I don't know how much you should weigh something like EPA into the equation when trying to evaluate how effective something is. But what this basically means is that when the Seahawks run the ball, they're not doing it the best in terms of yards gained or yards per carry gained, but they're getting the most meaningful rushing yards. They are getting more bang for their buck. And when you think about it, that kind of makes sense because these first 3 weeks, the Seahawks haven't done an amazing job running the ball, but they've converted several short yardage situations, including 3rd and short and 4th and short. Those are huge in terms of EPA. Those are huge in terms of turning your rushing production into points. They have gotten some goal line touchdowns. Those are not worth that many yards, but they are definitely going to generate points. So you kind of think it through in your head, and it actually kind of makes sense how this is the case. So I don't know if it's the best, but this is an interesting argument. So the running game is not completely on track the way we would like it to now. I think a big reason why is because the defense hasn't played that well, so the Seahawks haven't been able to grind the clock out the way they maybe would want to. Down the line, we might see some games where the Seahawks are ahead by multiple scores late and they're just running the clock out. Kind of like what we saw at the end of the Carolina game, but even more so, even over a bigger sample size, a longer period of time. Like that Lions game, we could never really slow down and take a breath because it was always a one-score game, or we were behind, or we were tied. It was always close and competitive. That Carolina game is the first time this year when we've really had the opportunity to say, okay, we're ahead, we've got a good lead, things are going good, let's just grind the rest of this clock out. So maybe this run game is a beautiful flower just waiting to blossom, and we just need to get them more and better opportunities. We need to play from ahead. We need to play in situations where we can comfortably run the ball, and good things can happen. Because this is not even particularly close. When you consider how close most of the teams are in this cluster, the fact that the Seahawks are all the way up here is pretty remarkable. By the way, while we're here, drop back estimated points added per play is also doing really well. There are 6 teams ahead of the Seahawks, it looks like. Cowboys, Bills, Chargers, Niners, Packers. And by the way, the Dolphins shouldn't even count. The Dolphins are playing a different sport. I think all these other teams are playing football and the Dolphins are playing like basketball or something. It's not the same sport. Whatever it is the Dolphins are doing, that's just out of pocket. So there's definitely something to be said for this offense and their pure, raw, unadulterated efficiency. One more stat I want to look at here that's very interesting, and this is a simple one. This is a very clean and simple one. You take a look at the yardage leaders by NFL offenses through 3 games. The Seahawks are in the middle. They're like 16th or 17th. They're right in the middle here. So they have an average offense according to yards. However, points, bang, they're 4th. And they're doing this with a bad kicker. We have a kicker that has missed 3 field goals. He makes one of those field goals, we're tied with San Fran. He makes 2 of those field goals, and he really should have because 2 of them were pretty short. We're ahead of Buffalo, only looking up at Miami. And again, Miami is on a different level. Miami's, again, they're playing a different sport right now. Now, we do have the benefit of the pick 6, which a lot of other teams don't have. We do have a defensive touchdown. But it's not like our defense is giving us amazing field position over and over again, making it easy for us to score, to run up these points. So there's something else going on here. Like you can just look at this. You can just look at this column right here. We are the only team in the top 7 that has less than 1,000 yards. And most of the teams up here have at least 1,100 yards. So the Dolphins, not even fair, but the Chargers have 1,250 yards. Bills have 1,150 yards. San Fran has almost 1,200. Seattle doesn't even have 1,000, but they're right up there in points. And again, it's not like the defense has scored a touchdown in every game. It's not like the defense is giving us amazing field position 3 times a game and making the offense's job super easy. So there's something going on here with just the pure raw efficiency of this offense. I don't know if this is sustainable, but we're all sitting here, and, well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us are sitting here wondering Why isn't the offense doing everything we're expecting it to do yet? Why aren't we running the ball better? Where's JSN? To a certain extent, some people might be wondering where's Lockett because he's been relatively quiet to start the season. What's going on here? What's going on there? The offensive line is completely ravaged by injuries. We probably missed more than half of the total combined snaps possible from the starting offensive linemen. And we're still up here. So we'll see if it's sustainable or not. We're going to see what is the real Seahawks offense. Is it the offense that is fourth in scoring, or is it the offense that is right in the middle of the pack in yards? But some exciting stuff going on here. Some very interesting things going on here. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about it? I mean, this is something you don't see every day. And I know we're still 3 games in, but it's not like it's one game. It's not like I'm magnifying a very small trend. This is a trend that's gone on for the first, well, you could say the entire first month of football, because we're going to be out of September the next time we play. So yeah, this Seahawks running game is sneakily among the most effective in the league. In fact, it might be the most effective in the league. It's not getting the most yards. It's not getting the most yards per carry. But the yards they are getting are more impactful than anyone else's yards. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Hope to see you guys tonight on stream. Gonna probably do Starfield tonight. I'm gonna stream with the Hawks Nest tonight. Before that, though, we're gonna do this Carolina post game, and hope to see you guys there. Go Hawks.